It's late, almost 11 p.m. Everyone in your house is fast asleep except you. The faint whispers of music echo through the walls under your room. Your phone screen glows, and even though your eyes are heavy, you keep scrolling. TikToks, Reels, YouTube Shorts. You glance at the clock, and suddenly, hours have slipped away. That homework due tomorrow? Still untouched. For many teens, this isn't unusual. We've all been there. We live in a time when our phones feel inseparable from us. They wake us up in the morning, they follow us to the bathroom, to the dinner table, and to our beds. They give us connection, but often at the cost of presence, of focus, of rest. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Anushka.
And we're the co-hosts for The People We Meet, a podcast where we dive into stories and conversations from teen perspectives.
In this episode, we'll be shining a light on something that impacts almost every teenager's life. Something we talk about a lot, but rarely unpack. Screen time and phone addiction.
It's easy to underestimate how much time we spend on our phones, how they influence our habits, our moods, and even our own sense of self.
So, to get a first-hand perspective, I sat down with junior Nishka. She shares what it's like growing up in this digital age, where being connected is constant and unplugging feels nearly impossible.
Listen closely to her story and then stick around because Anushka and I will be unpacking it together, sharing our own experiences and thoughts about life with screens.
Hi, I'm Nishka. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm in 10th grade.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Nishka, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the podcast.
So I've known you since freshman year, and we kind of reached out because we wanted to talk a little bit about phone addictions with teenagers, kind of like the high school student perspective. So just kind of right off the bat, how old were you when you actually got your first phone?
I was around 12 years old. I was halfway through 7th grade when I got my first phone, and it was actually considered late compared to some of my friends because some of my friends had their phones in like 6th grade or like summer going into 6th grade, and I would communicate with my friends through my mom's phone. So I think my mom felt a lot of pressure to get me a phone because I think she wanted to wait a bit longer, but she did end up getting me a phone because of pressure from everyone I knew at the time.
Do you feel like you kind of wanted a phone because your friends had it, or were you actually like, oh, I think this will be like an important thing to have like right now?
I really only wanted it so I could talk to my friends and watch entertainment on my phone and like have it when I go to school or something. I didn't think of a phone as like a tool. I kind of thought of it as like I guess a communication, but I thought of more of I can just chat with my friends compared to I can talk to my parents and text them if I need something.
Was this during COVID when you got it?
Yeah, I was during COVID. It was after we had gone back to school, but it was still like 2.5 years after COVID. So we were still in school, but like everyone was masked and everything. And so I didn't really use my phone because I only really had YouTube and like some games and like my friends' phone numbers. But
so it was like mainly just for like communication with friends, like texting, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Looking back, do you feel like you use your phone like differently now than you did before?
Definitely. I communicate with my parents a lot more on my phone and my friends a little less than I used to because back then I would really only communicate with my friends over text. But now like I have Snapchat and I have like Instagram and I did have TikTok before I deleted it. But now I can communicate with everyone. And also I use it a lot for entertainment. Like I have my streaming apps on my phone, so I watch a lot of shows and movies, which it's okay. It's not the greatest because it gives me like an easier access to like entertainment and like getting distracted, but it is like kind of nice sometimes when I'm bored or I don't want to like turn on the TV or something to just have it on my phone.
No, for sure. Okay, kind of like getting a little bit more into the term screen addiction. We researched this, and phone addiction isn't actually like a scientific term yet. It's still classified as video game addiction specifically. But like a common idea among students is like people have quote unquote phone addictions because like people are spending more than 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours on a phone. When it comes to actually like being addicted to phones, Do you feel like you see this as a problem which affects your peers at school?
Personally, it's a big problem for me. It's something like I really struggle with. I'm very addicted to my phone. I can't really go a couple hours without looking at it or checking it or like feeling like I'm missing something on Instagram or anything, and it's a problem. Like, I need to work on that. But for other teens, it can affect people. It's really about the person, and I self-control's a big part of it, because people with more self-control, I feel that they're not as addicted to their phones. But I used to have okay self-control, and then I got a phone and I got social media, and then my self-control just went out the window. Like, it's really bad. But I think a majority of like my friends and a majority of my peers, they do have insane screen addiction, and I think it's a big problem.
Okay, I kind of want to point this out. I feel like what happens is oftentimes when we're like alone in social situations, like we're waiting for someone, it's like an automatic instinct to go to your phone, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like you're doing something. Do you feel like you do this?
I definitely do this. Whenever I'm feeling like awkward in a social setting or there's no one talking, I just pull out my phone, because especially if I don't have any friends in that setting, so there's no one for me to talk to, and sometimes I'm too scared to go up to someone and say, hey, like, how you doing? Because that's like not the culture anymore. The culture is to be on your phone, or if you do talk to someone, you're like, what's your Instagram? What's your phone number? It can be helpful sometimes to like connect with people on social media, but it's also like in some settings it's really normalized that you just go on your phone and you don't have human interactions. It's really difficult nowadays, especially if you don't have a phone. Like, I remember in middle school for like a year and a half, I didn't have a phone, and I definitely felt very isolated because I would have to text through my mom's phone. And so I was the only one that would reach out, because kids didn't want to text to someone else's parents. Luckily, I had really good friends who were pretty close with my parents too.
No, that's so real. Okay, because like I was thinking about this, and like the only way that we can actually contact people we have to interview in like journalism, either we email them, we text them, or we DM them on Instagram. And people who don't know what DMing is, it's direct messaging. But I was just thinking about this the other day, because if I'm waiting at a coffee shop or a restaurant, let's say like my mom goes to the bathroom, I'm not just gonna sit there and stare into space.
Yeah.
I just immediately pull out my phone. So it's become almost like a reflex, and I feel like that's the addiction thing, which is like self-control. If I didn't take my phone, what would I be doing instead, right? Which is like going back to the past. What did our parents do? They had to like focus more on human interaction. Like, they had to be in that awkward situation.
So it just like had to be bored. They couldn't do anything. And my dad is always saying, oh, it's good to be bored, Nishka, like, put your phone away. I definitely agree, but it can get frustrating sometimes, because you're just like, I don't want to be bored. I want to do something. I want to be on my phone, or I want to play a game or something. But like, we rely so much on our devices because that's how we all grew up.
No, for sure. You kind of like got into my second question about how are phones helpful?
Phones are helpful for communication, because that's like why they were invented. I text my parents a couple times a day to be like, hey, I'm coming home soon, I'm not going to be home, I'm here, I'm there. And I think that's really helpful, because then like they get the notification right away. I don't have to wait till I go home and then ask them. And also, I think communication is the biggest thing, because even on social media, I can communicate with people, random videos. I've made friends on social media. I made like one friend on social media, but I keep in touch with some of the cousins that I have like on social media. I went to this concert and we all became friends with each other, and we all like shared each other's Instagram, because we still kind of randomly text each other now. So that's pretty cool. Our phones connected all of us.
No, for sure. Okay, like, kind of going a little bit more into specifically social media apart from like the actual phone device, I feel like many people tend to gravitate towards having an addiction towards social media apps rather than like actually just like using their phone for purposes like texting or calling. Do you feel like this is applicable to you, like your TikTok, Instagram?
I definitely do think it's applicable. I'm way more like addicted to my social media than I am to the actual phone. But also, if I have my phone in my backpack, or if I left it at home on accident, I get like a phantom phone. So like, I'll randomly feel my phone that's in my pocket, or I'll feel that it's in my hand, or I'll pretend that I hear like a notification because I'm so addicted. It's kind of scary actually, looking at like, feel like sometimes if I don't have my phone with me, I feel that I do, because it's so normal for me to have my phone with me everywhere I go.
What's phantom phone?
Phantom phone is when you don't have your phone with you. Maybe it's in your backpack, or maybe it's at home, and you just feel that you have it. Maybe you feel it in your pocket, or you reach for your phone and then there's nothing there. Also, you know, when you're like looking for your phone and then you like start calling and you're like, wait, I have my phone right here.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that like literally happens to me all the time.
And I'm like, oh, it's so normal to also have your phone on you that you don't think about misplacing it.
That's so interesting, because like I feel like I've also seen people like, this is really whack, but like I've seen people swipe like in the air, and that to me is like, oh my god, like
I have to share this because when I'm sleeping or something in my dreams, like I'll scroll and like I've literally made reels in my head because of how much I spend time on Instagram. It's like I can formulate like a reel in my head that I think that is real, and it's never happened before. It's in my dreams, and then if I wake up, this is a big thing, if I wake up and I go turn off my alarm, I'm like half conscious, right? And I think I'm awake, but I'm really kind of asleep, but I'm also awake.
Yeah.
And I start scrolling on my phone and the reels are popping into my head, and then I open my eyes, my phone's not even there, and I'm holding my hand like I'm holding a phone, and I'm scrolling too, I'm moving my thumb. And it's really scary. Like, how much time do I spend on my phone that I'm like phantom scrolling? Because I doom scroll a lot. It's so bad that it's gotten to a point where I can scroll while I'm like half conscious, but I'm not actually
it's like dream scrolling.
It's dream scrolling, exactly.
That's really interesting. Do you get notifications when you're scrolling on Instagram Reels? Like, it's like you've been on Instagram for some time. It's probably time to take a break. Every single time that pops up, I always hit the like ignore button. Do you do that?
Yes, I do. I hit either 5 more minutes or 15 more minutes because I know that like I'm like, okay, I'll stop in 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes go by, I'm like, just another 15, and then it's like 3 hours have gone by and I've doom scrolled my day away, and it's really annoying that when that happens, because then I realize I could have been doing so many other things instead of doom scrolling, and it's like, why didn't I just stop when it gave me like the 1 hour limit or something?
Do you feel like drained after you like scroll for a while? Like, do you feel tired?
I do. I definitely do feel tired. I've noticed this because one day I remember, I was still on Instagram, but I was on Instagram for like less than an hour that day. And that's really good for me. And I had gone to the gym or something, right? And I had worked out, and then I came back and I was like, I'm not going to go scroll. I'm going to go take a shower and then go to sleep. And I felt amazing. Like, I got such a good sleep, and it was such a good day because I was barely on my phone, but I still went on, but it wasn't as much as I usually go on, which is a lot of time.
Well, that's amazing. I'm glad you felt great that day. Another thing which has kind of been implemented is, I'm sure you know, because we have a class together, we have to do this, but the new school policy about phones, where we have to either put them in cubbies or in like little phone pockets, and we aren't allowed them in, not all, but I mean most of our classes, I would say. Truthfully speaking, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like it's actually beneficial, or do you feel like it's not really doing anything?
It definitely depends on which class you're in. I think it's, people are going to come for me, but I think it's beneficial. I kind of like it when I have to put my phone away, because then I don't think about it. Then I'm not like, oh, where did my phone go? Did I leave it behind? Oh, it's just like in the phone jail. And you always remember before you leave the class, because it's usually, if it's by the door, that's perfect. Like in our English class, we have it right by the door, and that's great because you can just grab it when you're walking out. None of my other classes actually implement it. They have the cubbies there, and sometimes you have to do it, but most of the time you don't. And I think I do check my phone in those classes as well. And so I think that in some of the classes, I wouldn't want to have it because I use my phone for those classes.
Like, which classes would you say?
My math class, sometimes I have to upload a photo. They don't enforce it, but if you like take a calculator, you have to put your phone in, which is smart. And then for ambassadors, we have to use our phones a lot since half of my committee's in another class. So we have to text the committee, or we have to upload something. And it's not as enforced there unless we have a day where we don't use our phones, which is nice because the teacher knows which days we should put our phones away, which days we shouldn't. And we usually don't have them out. But I think it is like, it's very convenient when it's a class that you don't need your phone in. Like English, we don't ever use our phones. They have it when the class is convenient for it.
No, for sure. That's a really interesting take. That's awesome. What's crazy is that they're trying to implement it on like a state level law. So Gavin Newsom was actually the one who wants to enforce this. So potentially all school districts in California would have the same policy that we do here for a lot of our classes, which might be beneficial. Who knows? because I know that people still use like their computers and stuff in class to be distracted. But I definitely agree with you. It would remove like a major distraction for many students. Kind of getting to the end of our interview questions, what has kind of worked for you, or what do you think will work for you to start like actually like realistically cutting back on screen time on your phone?
So I had this 2 month or 1 month phase. It was a short period of time, but like long enough, where I had this app and it was like called Screen Zen, for those of you who want it.
And Screen Zen.
Screen Zen. So it's like if you go on the App Store, Screen Zen, you can download it and you can choose which apps you block your screen time for. So I chose like my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube because those are like my most commonly like abused apps that I watch on. And so I took those apps and I clicked on them and then I set a screen time for each day. So Mondays through Fridays, I can't go on it for more than like 20 minutes if the screen ends there. Like if I click on it, I can do 20 minutes and then after that it locks it. But if you actually, sometimes like I need to post something or I need to use my Instagram. So you can set a timer for how long you have to wait before you're allowed to open the app for like a certain number of minutes. So
if you open it, it blocks it. But like, what if you have to like do something? Then
you can just wait, and you can use this anytime. So you can wait like 30 seconds, you can wait a minute, or you can wait 5 seconds until the app unlocks. And you can use it for whatever time, and then it does that again where you have to wait like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And so even doing like 5 seconds, I found it actually helped because I found myself just mindlessly, I opened up my phone and I went straight to an app. But I didn't even need to do that because I was somewhere with like my friends or something. And then it would say like, oh, are you sure you want to unlock this? It'll unlock in 5 seconds if you click this button or whatever. So then I clicked it and I would be like, 5 seconds. And 5 seconds is actually kind of a long time if you think about it, especially if you have like a major screen addiction. Like 5 seconds too long. So then I would just close the app and do something else or like talk to my friends. And then if I actually do want to like watch something, then I just have to wait 5 seconds. And it's only 5 seconds. So it was really helpful for like 2 months. And then I pushed it a bit. I said I have to wait like a minute before I can open it. And then I got tired of the app and then I deleted it. So I don't know how, if that's like my thing with self-control. Is that like I can't just like go and delete the app. If I want to have better self-control, I actually have to like stick to it. So I think that like if I download it again, I'll like make sure not to like put it more than like 30 seconds that I have to wait, or like 15 seconds, and just keep it like small and then slowly maybe build up over time so then I don't get like frustrated with the app.
Wait, that's awesome. And you found it helped at least a little bit during that time period of like 2 months.
Did.
Okay. Would you ever consider going back to that?
Yeah, actually I was thinking of downloading it like a couple days ago. I was like, oh, maybe I should download that again because my Instagram time has been really, really high ever since TikTok got deleted.
Yeah.
So I think I'll definitely go back to that.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. No, I was like honestly I might like into that because so when I was in like, I got my first phone in 6th grade and like it got so bad like where I was like on YouTube for so long like I wouldn't do my homework and then I do it at like 10 p.m. which is like not okay for like an 11-year-old to be doing. So like my parents walked into my bedroom one day and then like I was just like scrolling and they're like, okay, like we need to stop this, like you need to have time to sleep and like actually like rest and like do your work, because like they had the parental control thing back then, like they were like it's gonna be blocked from this time to this time. But now that I'm older, like that's been removed, and like I set like a 1 hour limit on YouTube, and Instagram has it too, but like every single time it never works. I always just avoid it. And I do kind of want to point out as we're wrapping up, like social media still is like super beneficial. Like I just want to say this out there. Like I mean, I post. I love looking at my friends' posts. It's a great, like Instagram was created so you could find community with other people, right? And people at your school. So like it's definitely like probably one of the most helpful apps on my phone. Honestly, like I'd put it up there with like my messaging app and like my phone app, like calling people. And some of the content that I feel like we do scroll through content that actually interests us, because like if you think about it, like all of like the humor we use, all the slang we use, all the pop culture references like we talk about like with our like friends, they all come from social media. Yeah. So like without social media, like what would culture
what would our culture be?
Because which like sounds crazy to say, but like
it is kind of crazy.
It's the reality.
Yeah. it's definitely influenced like my friend group a lot. Like they'll know, and it's pretty funny to see though, like how like chronically online people. I know even saying that is like
the brain rot thing.
The brain rot, like that's like chronically online, and so like everyone is like, especially our school, like it's kind of like our culture. I don't want to like put a label, but like a lot of kids at our school like talk like that or they act like that because of social media.
Yeah.
And I've actually found like a lot of things that interest me on social media.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. Like I found like accounts that I like to do, or clubs, or like different projects that I'm like interested in. And crafting projects. I love like doing random crafts that are like easy.
Yeah.
And so I found all of those on social media. And so I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's so great that you mentioned that, because I think like social media can actually give us interesting content to enjoy and like apply to our own lives. But I think part of why we're having this conversation is like we're faced with the reality of living in a world where people will be online and have to be online, kind of. But it's almost like with this reality, there are positives, but there are negatives. But we can still kind of like embrace the positivity of social media while also like setting healthy like boundaries for ourselves. So like this is in no way saying like delete all your social media, it's terrible. And hey, maybe that might work for you, because social media can also fuel a lot of other problems like negative self-esteem, because of this whole idea of like portraying like your perfect self, like, you know, body editing, like face editing, everything like that. But like if you genuinely do find an interest meeting new people and connecting with others, I think go for it. But try things like Screen Zen. I might like look this up. Like I need that. So yeah, do you have like any final thoughts or anything else you want to add?
I think just having a balance is key, and building your self-control, especially for me. Like I need to work on my self-control. And so I think having a balance between how much you're going on social media, because a lot of my family members, they say like, oh, you should just get rid of your social media. And I'm like, I don't want to, because that's how I communicate with my friends and my peers. But also like I should be cutting back how much time I'm spending on it. So yeah, I just say like having a balance and like developing self-control is really important if you want to like manage your screen time, especially on social media.
Okay, that was amazing. High praise. Thank you, Nishka.
Thank you, Anushka, for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was amazing. And stay tuned for the rest of the episode.
That was Nishka, sharing her take on growing up with the phone in hand. Now take a listen as Anushka and I sit down to reflect on our own screen time, how it shapes our lives, and the questions we are still asking ourselves.
Okay, so we are here to break down and just talk a little bit about the amazing interview with Nishka. So kind of the first topic was that kind of came up was the age that Nishka got her phone. So Nishka said she got her phone halfway through 7th grade. She said she was about 12 years old. I also got my phone pretty young. I got it the summer after 5th grade. So I would have been 11 turning 12. Yeah, it was during COVID though, I remember. And I was like really excited, and I like begged my dad for the entire year. And he just showed up one day. He's like, "Okay, we got you a phone." And I was like, "Oh my God, like dang, okay." How about you, Laura?
I got my first Apple phone on my 12th birthday in 6th grade. And so before I had a flip phone, and I got a Christmas when I was in 4th grade. And I remember opening that box, and I was so disappointed.
Wait, why?
I don't know. I think it's just because I was embarrassed, because I knew like other kids already had iPhones at that time, but I
Oh,
got
yeah.
a flip phone, and it was used for communication to be able to talk to my mom. And so I remember vividly, I would bike to school with my brother. So there was like a park nearby, so I would actually stop at the park. I would text my mom that I'm at school, and then I would bike to school and not bring out the phone. And
Oh
I would
my
do that every
God.
single day.
That's insane. No, I totally know what you mean though, because like another point that Nishka said was that like she didn't really think of her phone as a communication tool, right? Like more as a way to like chat with friends and text people. And like what you just mentioned, that's like the standard purpose of a phone. Like it literally is to communicate with someone who's like, you know, not in your vicinity. But I wanted a phone so badly for the same reason as Mishka. Like, I just wanted to text my friends. And before I had a phone, I made my dad download TikToks so I could watch it on his phone because I wasn't allowed to have social media. Like, it was so bad. Like, I would come home after school and I would be like, hey, dad, can I have your phone, please? Yeah,
I would,
genuinely don't know what I was thinking.
but I mean, I'm really actually happy that my mom got me a flip phone first because I think when I first got my iPhone, I wasn't really used to being able to like go on the internet. And so I think that really helped. And I remember my first year I had my phone, my best record I remember was 7 minutes,
Oh, oh
like
my
a day.
God. What did you do for those 7 minutes, girl?
And then my mom did have time limit on my phone, which I think that really did help. And it was just an hour on the phone, like to call, text, do whatever you want. I could go on Safari, but then once that time limit was up, then I could only use to call or FaceTime and no
Um,
text school. And then she ended that time limit when I was in 8th grade when I was like rebelling a little bit.
no,
But yeah.
no, for sure. I remember like really clearly in 6th grade, like I was really struggling with procrastination, and it would get so bad to the point where like I would literally just be on my phone or my computer for hours during the day and not do any work. This was during COVID also, so everything was online, which didn't help because I had immediate access to technology every minute of the day, and I wouldn't do my homework until 10 p.m. at night.
Same.
Dude, it was really bad. And then my parents were like, okay, like you can't keep doing this because you need to sleep. Like you shouldn't be up. And this is when I was like 12 years old, okay? Like it's not when I'm like 16 or 17. That was the first time my parents ever enforced like a screen time thing. So I like on the weekdays it would shut off at like 9 p.m. and like Saturdays and Sundays it would be like 10 p.m. And I remember being so mad at them. And honestly, I wish I had that right now.
That's literally the same thing with me because I think my mom was just getting tired of me always rebelling. So she turned off the screen limit and I would go to bed very late. And then I also think that's how my procrastination habit really began. I think having that self-control to not do it.
Exactly. No, exactly. That self-control, I think, is probably the hardest part, which everyone has to learn. Because also when you're so young and you're exposed to like another thing which you have to have self-control about. Because like we have self-control about different things, like whether it be like not eating too much sugar or making a risky decision. But when you just add another variable, in this case, like a phone, which is like your like personal property, it becomes difficult to like understand like, okay, should I use it right now, like should I not use it right now? Oh, everyone around me is using it. So I just think that that's another reason why a lot of kids just struggle to put their phone away.
I think also just having your phone with you and then maybe like possibly looking at a screen, then I think that gets them feeling like, okay, at least I'm doing something, at least I'm watching something entertaining. And I think that really does take away a lot of the times that you could be present within the moment.
You made a great point there, like being present in the moment. What's so interesting is when I think of relaxing, like after a day at school or like practice or whatever, my immediate instinct is, okay, I'm gonna go lay on my bed and scroll. After I've scrolled for like half an hour or like an hour, I feel so drained. And I'm like, why did I make the decision to do this to relax? I just like wasted 30 minutes or an hour like scrolling on my phone.
Girl,
When
you have better willpower. For me, it's like I go on my phone and then next thing you know, I've been on it for like 3 hours. It's probably like 10 p.m. and I have not even started my homework. I
right?
have
And it's so funny because it's odd because when you think about relaxing, like I think a lot of people are just really reluctant to honestly just sit for 10 minutes and do nothing. And I feel like it's actually critical for the human body to just like take like 10 minutes or like even a few minutes to just sit down and literally do nothing and then just exist or do some sort of like stimulating activity which doesn't offer a rush of dopamine. We crave this immediate satisfaction and then it ends up just like making you feel terrible.
I think at some point it's important to be able to feel a little bit of that boredom. you need to feel
Yeah.
bored in order to really like get back into it, because like you said, like that rush of dopamine that gets you really happy, for the first 10 minutes, but then that's why people keep on looking onto their screens, and that's why it's really hard to get off. But then once you're off, I think that it just ends like automatically and you feel even more tired.
Exactly, exactly. Another topic which Nishka brought up, she said phones give easy access to entertainment and you can pretty much do anything anywhere. So, this is actually really interesting because if you think about it, honestly, not even just social media, like Reddit, for example, you can literally know what anyone in the world is doing and like when they are doing it and how they like are doing it because of social media. Like we can see what someone had for breakfast, what someone chose to have, because what someone chose to wear that day, what someone is like going through emotionally right now. Like it's insane just how easy it is to literally know like everything somehow and still know nothing. It's interesting because social media was created to like, form connections and meet new people, and that's totally true. Like actually, I mean, because obviously because of the algorithm, it curates content which appeals to you and is aligned with your interests. So it's like, oh, I can meet other people who have similar interests to me, right? But you can also, take in so much that it feels like you're doing nothing, which isn't how humans were naturally born to be made. We weren't like created to know what was happening in the world at every single minute.
I feel exactly the same because I think with different social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, which a lot of especially teens in high school, middle school, they use, just especially for influencers, smartphones make it incredibly easy to film and instantly upload content. And that's what brings that explosion of online sharing. While it does make it easier for some people to stay in touch, express themselves or their ideas, I think it can create this like constant fear of missing out because you're seeing like all these snapshots of other people's lives, vacations or parties just highlighted with a couple minutes like in like a reel or like a YouTube short. And honestly, it can feel bad because it feels like when you look at those snapshots, it feels like that is that person's everyday life. When in reality, it's not true. That's probably maybe just like the best part of their day. That kind of like exposure can be very overwhelming for teens who are especially still figuring out their identity.
I feel like social media is literally the root of culture right now. Like, if you think
No, it
about it,
is.
it literally is because if you think about it, the slang that people use today, the slang that we use, honestly, like in this conversation, I've probably said like literally like bro, dude, like so many times. Other high schoolers who share stuff like on Instagram or TikTok, it creates this ability for other people to see themselves in someone else, like being able to be relatable. I've just heard so many times that there are no original experiences. We share so many of the same experiences, whether that be like childhood, growing up, etc. And we are able to understand each other's experiences because of social media. So then there's part of me which is like, wait, like, so interesting. Because of social media, I don't feel like I'm alone in my experiences.
So one person that I love her philosophy name is Angela Duckworth, and she does a lot of research on adolescence. She's a psychologist. And one thing in one of her books called Grit, she says that your phone, social media, it isn't exactly an enemy, but it's rather the relationship that one has with it. So
Yeah.
she says that it's very important when kids or teens first get their phone is to be critical users of technology. So not just like limit it and say, no, it's bad, you can't use it, but empower them to reflect on why exactly they're picking up their phone. Why are they going on Instagram? Why are they going to YouTube? And so like, is it for boredom? Is it just anxiety? And it helps them build something called metacognition, and that is the ability to think about one's own thinking, meaning like what are the patterns that we as individuals fall into? And I
Mm.
think that is very important for people to have because rather than just having that, that habit of picking up your phone, you think about why exactly you're picking up your phone and what is it exactly that you're going to do with it so you can understand yourself better.
That's actually a very perfect way to put, I think, what a lot of people struggle with. And I remember you had also mentioned like she had a quote which is like the farther the phone away, the higher the GPA. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that sounds really interesting.
Yes, what she said that she mentioned is that when you have your phone somewhere out of reach, out of sight, out of mind, if it's like in a pocket, in a backpack, somewhere where like a student can't get it out, you just
That
perform better because you're not able to rely on something. You're relying only on
yeah.
yourself. And,
No, I
I
see
guess like
that.
it pushes you to do better. Even if your phone is face down and you're taking a test or you're doing a homework, that idea from that student where they could just be like, oh, I can just pick it up. I can just, look up the answers. Like this thing is not really a big deal. Then that creates like some sort of idea that people don't perform as better.
Yeah, kind of like working from the inside out.
Yes.
There is one other topic that I really wanted to discuss, which was how reliant we are on phones in social settings. And this is something that Nishka had brought up too in our conversation. And she said kind of people just feel the need to use their phone in any setting, whether it be like, they're walking alone in the hallway, they're waiting for something. The automatic instinct is just to immediately pull out your phone. I realized that in pretty much every single outside setting I've been to, you will always see someone on their phone. And I find myself doing this all the time, 100%. Like, I just pull out my phone and I, like, will scroll or I'll, like pretend to, like, be reading messages. And I mean, that partly maybe also just a personal thing, maybe if you struggle in, like, social settings. Like, I don't think I'm antisocial or anything. I just think that, like, I can be, like, a little self conscious like everyone. It's so interesting because we kind of just use the phone as, I don't want to say excuse because that's a very harsh term, but like it's become very dependable for a lot of people.
Like a way to
Yeah.
escape a moment.
Yeah, and escape discomfort. So many people are uncomfortable with looking alone. I feel like if you're just like waiting somewhere, like no one just wants to like sit around and stare and like look like they're waiting for someone. Like they want to seem like they're doing something or, they're busy, so like they pull out their phone. And I wonder like how did our parents do it, honestly? Like what did they
I
do? Like, we need to be comfortable with being like in uncomfortable situations, I feel like, because that's life.
And I also think, sometimes I think about the reason why, personally, I have my phone and I love my phone. I never go without my phone, is because I want to be present for every single phone call, single message. And, it's hard for me to like not like answer that text right away. But then at the same time, there's like all these social medias that I spend my time, like I spend my day on. And so that just also takes away from being able to do other things that I have planned for that day. Because it can be also isolating, even though the first thing that you think about is being able to text your friends, being able to talk to someone. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really think about.
Yeah, I was looking a little bit into this term called doom scrolling. I'm sure many people have heard of this term. It basically refers to excessive and intense, scrolling on some form of social media for long periods of time. And according to Harvard Medical School, they define doom scrolling as kind of like excessive consuming of media, which may be like distressing or like kind of scary. So, like, that is like kind of going down to a rabbit hole of information. And this was super surprising to me
Hmm.
because I do not associate doom scrolling with, like reading like article upon article about like maybe like something that's scary that's happened in the news. I associate doom scrolling with kind of like the colloquial like Gen Z term of like, oh, you're just bored so you scroll for hours and hours and you just feel like you're a zombie at some point. But I think that honestly experts should potentially rethink at how social media is viewed among teens because we don't view doom scrolling like this, and we are kind of at the heart of what social media and I guess screen addiction is affecting because we were kind of like the first generation to actually be like, born into this crazy new age with rapid technological advancement.
Yeah, I think for the majority of teens, it's not looking up an article upon article. I feel like for us, that would just be like research.
Yeah. The article also mentions how to kind of cut back, and they literally said the exact same thing as Dr. Angela Duckworth, is literally keep your phone away from you physically. Like, don't bring it to the dinner table, don't bring it, before you go to bed on your nightstand, just keep it away. So research is literally proving that we need to start doing this if you are struggling with screen addiction. And there are numerous benefits to this, both physical and mental. One of the biggest that I can think of also is that I feel like when I'm using my phone so much, I'm very sedentary. And there have been studies that have shown that literally sitting for hours a day is the equivalent of like smoking multiple cigarettes a day, if not worse.
Oh my
So and so I think that's kind of like that drained feeling we all sometimes feel when we've been like sitting at a screen and staring at it.
Also, one thing that's very important to note is that willpower alone isn't enough to ensure that you're going to stay off your phone, you're going to be good, you're going to make good choices. Instead, again, this is from Angela Duckworth. I promise I don't have an
Our
obsession with her.
favorite
I just like,
Angela.
but the way she puts it is situation modification. And that's where instead of just having that environment where you have to have willpower, you have to choose amongst good over bad, structure your environment and habits to make the better option the easiest or the default choice. And so,
Oh,
like, one example could be at nighttime when you go to bed, have your computer, have your phone outside of the room. Then that kind of stops you from maybe scrolling in the night. Then when you wake up in the morning, you don't just pick up your phone. It makes you kind of go out, get out of bed, do your thing. So no need to have that willpower. Try to set yourself up for success.
star quote right there. Set yourself up for success. I think that's super powerful. Honestly, just kind of wrapping up, you are not solely at fault maybe if you spend hours on your screen. Yes, it is self-control, but if you think about it, we are in a society where majority of the people are going through the exact same thing. So it's become the norm. It's completely not uncommon to hear someone be like, "Yeah, I have a screen time of like 6 hours, 7 hours a day." And I think, like what you said, Laura, it all just comes from maybe recognizing how it's affecting you. I'm sure there are some people who maybe they just do fine with staring at screens for a long time or using their phone, and maybe it helps them, and that's great, to each their own. But if you are struggling with using your phone for hours upon hours and it's making you feel like some sort of a negative consequence on you, then the first step again is just recognition. Then you can maybe see, okay, do I want to change this? Think about, how will it make me feel if I change this, etc.
No, that just reminds me. One of my favorite quotes, to be fair, I think on Instagram when I saw this, but the quote that I love to put this way, even with screen time, is whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. And so again, if you have, I have high amount of hours that I'm on my screen. And so it's completely normal. Not most teens have this, but taking that small step of, like you said, Anushka, thinking about it, realizing that you probably want to cut down on your screen time, and then choosing to do something about it. And it can be really small, like putting your phone away, different room. That helps by starting to change something that you always do.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, well, I think that's it. This was amazing, and yeah, I hope we could talk about this again sometime.
I want to thank you, Anushka, for being able to have this time to talk. And I think it was like I think it was a really good moment to learn, and to talk about something that I think many teens, like I guess, don't really think about.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so,
So awesome, and I guess we'll talk again soon. Yay.
okay, bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
All that said, maybe it's time to pause. Not just the video, but yourself. We can all ask ourselves, What are we missing while we're caught in the scroll? The moments we trade for screens, we don't get those back. But presence starts with intention, and change begins with action. And sometimes it starts with just putting the phone down. So try keeping your phone in your backpack while working. Maybe avoid glancing at it while waiting for your drink order or walking down the hallway. Phones and technology are powerful tools of connection, education, and creativity. When we take control of how we use them, they can benefit us in pretty amazing ways. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The People We Meet. Stay tuned for more content about teen experiences and authentic conversations. Till next time.